I am Art Sullivan. I'm the chairman of the zoning hearing board. And last month I had to take the kids and the grandkids to the beach for the annual trip, so I wasn't here. However, I have read every line, every word of the record of the last meeting. And I watched the entire meeting online. So I think I'm reasonably conversant with what happened last time and what the applicants are seeking today. Let us begin though with the minutes of the May meeting. Any comments, any critique? Then I move that the minutes be approved as written. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Before we begin to the substantive issues, there is a very extensive record that was created based upon what I had to say last month. We have all read the record. As I say, I've watched everything on video. I think we understand an awful lot about the opinion of you folks on these issues. And let me comment. I have heard that perhaps that meeting was too extensive, that it may have even been a little bit rambunctious at times. I loved what I saw. You folks care about your community. You have opinions about your community. And you, I think, very appropriately use this forum to express your opinions. So your thoughts, your comments are part of the decision we will make. I thank you for your attendance both tonight and last month. Hey, Tom. So because the record is as extensive as it is, we are going to ask for public comment again on these three issues before us. But please do not simply reiterate what is already in the record. If there's going to be a repeat of what we have already heard and what I've already read, I'm going to ask you to please sit down so we can move on with the other issues. And Tom, I'm going to hang loose until you feel comfortable.
Sorry.
No
I was
problem.
in Washington this afternoon. I went all the way back to my office and came all the way back. I'm ready to go.
Okay, first issue on the agenda tonight is the variance request on Copper Kettle Road. Does anybody have any statements to make concerning that?
I know that guy.
Please come to the podium, give your name, take the oath.
Dan Coomer, 637 Western Avenue, Canonsburg. I was at the last meeting and I just want to make a couple comments. I drove out there today. I drove all the way out Zediker Station Road from one end to the other. At the last meeting, I heard you can't run triaxles on there from the public. There's no weight restrictions at all on either road. All I heard was agricultural. I went out there today. There's a lot of pasture fields out there. They're all grown up. There's very few animals out there. I think the truth of the matter is, in my opinion, I think you're running right now a commercial agricultural facility out there. I think if I'd tell Range, shut the gas wells off for 12 months, I think you'd have a whole different story to confront with. I mean, to me, a couple triaxles, the guy's going to make a living, support taxes. I support that. And if you're wondering why I'm here from Canonsburg, because I own the property right next to that facility. That's why I'm here. So I'm here to support him. That's all I have. Thank you. Coomer, C-U-M-E-R.
Good evening, members of the board, Mr. Grafiotis.
Good evening, sir.
My name is Thomas Lonich. I'm an attorney licensed in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. I maintain an office in the city of Washington, and I'm here on behalf of Mr. Zach Gephardt and his issues with South Strabane. I wish to indicate on the record and to everyone here, I also watched the YouTube video of the last hearing. Mr. Sullivan, while I understand the statement you have made, in watching that, you will have to agree with me. Unless someone's standing here at the podium, you cannot hear, nor is it recorded on the YouTube video of anything that is said. Ms. Landock is here. She was the court reporter for the last hearing. She can state on the record if the transcript of the hearing was provided to anyone at South Strabane, if Mr. Grafiotis allows that.
Have we all received the copy?
To begin with, and I pose this question to each individual members of the board, between the time, has any member of the board had any discussions with anyone concerning the issue that's currently before the board, other than with your solicitor, Mr. Grafiotis?
No.
Okay, so the record reflect everyone answered no. On May 29th, 2026, I submitted a letter to Ms. Kristen Houlihan, Hullihen, Township's Director of Planning and Zoning. A copy of that letter was supplied to Mr. Grafiotis, and I intend to make it an exhibit and part of the record in this matter. Excuse me while I try to make sure everything doesn't slide off this podium.
Thank you, sir.
I have.
That letter, that letter was delivered to the township. Down at the bottom, there is a signature. The person who was at the front desk indicated that the township had received this letter. In that letter, I set forth what Mr. Gephardt was asking for. I have no idea why I haven't received a response to that letter, nor Mr. Gephardt has received a response to that letter. Because our position is that that is a permitted accessory use which Mr. Gephardt is looking for. So it's clear. What he wants to do is inside parking of his vehicles or trucks in an existing garage or pole barn. Said vehicles will leave the property empty each workday and return to the property empty each work night. He will entertain routine general maintenance on said vehicles, such as washing and oil changes, as anyone else does to their vehicles in the township. Apparently, as a permitted accessory use, that was acknowledged by Ms. Houlihan. And she provided, in response to emails that she had received, that this was a permitted accessory use.
Kristen, did you say it was a permitted?
I said it was not a permitted accessory.
If I could ask one question. In your letter dated May 29th, 2026, you say it is your position that a variance is not needed. If a variance is not needed, why are you here?
I'm here because at the last hearing, a great deal of speculative, irrelevant material was presented before this board.
But if the variance is not needed, why not just withdraw the
Because
application?
my client was given an application for a variance or special exception back in, I'll say April, and told to complete it. I have emails here.
But then you told him the
No.
variance was not required. Is that correct?
When he came to see me on the day before that letter. And I agree with you. He should have never been before this board seeking a variance because it's a permitted accessory use. What he wants to do is park his vehicles in
know
an
what he wants to
existing
do.
pole barn. That's what he wants to do. But yet, this flowed as a variance that he was requesting for a business access. Now, I will agree with the comments that were made that night of the hearing. But the laws of the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, as you know, Mr. Sullivan, allow an applicant to make a request for a use variance. Just because you make a request for a use variance or the use you are seeking does not immediately disqualify you. You can ask for use variance, but the standard is higher. And the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania said use variance should not be given lightly. I acknowledge all of that, but he's not running a business, nor does he intend to run a business from that
Where's he gonna
location.
run his business from? Would be Christie Road?
Nowhere in the township. He's gonna park vehicles. That's what's before this board.
No, what is before the board is,
No,
what is before the board is whether or not, first of all, you raise the issue, is a variance needed? And then under section 245-15, is this an appropriate variance? That's the issue.
right. And I'm telling you that in January, when this gentleman came to the township, he said, I'm gonna park vehicles in my garage. They're gonna leave empty. They're gonna be there. Ms. Houlihan said, I'm gonna introduce this as part of the record. So I don't know, Mr. Graffiotis, whatever you're marking these exhibits.
We're gonna mark this as exhibit 1 for the purposes of tonight's hearing. The letter will be 1. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
So as you can see by this exhibit, on January 6th, Mr. Gephardt, as Ms. Houlihan, wouldn't it fall under a private garage and storage building? That's exactly what I would be using it for. That's at 605. Prior to that, she had indicated and said, here's what's allowed in an A1 district, excuse me, as well as for a home occupational conditional use. There's no information from January until a follow-up emails in April.
You are correct, sir. You have one for me, Mr. Launch?
Somewhere, whatever sliding wall.
Thank you.
So in April of 2026, when again, Mr. Gephardt said, then my plan is to use the current garage on the property to store my equipment for my business. Ms. Houlihan on April 24th said, I'll put it as an accessory use since you are going to be utilizing the house for your residence. You have that in front of you.
But she doesn't have the authority to approve the use. Yeah, it seems to me, and let me just mention, I too am a lawyer,
I know,
license
Mr.
2747.
Sullivan, I understand that.
And I think when an individual has a concern about the interpretation of law as it applies to their property, and it's going to be a substantial investment, they need to approach a lawyer. And what I'm hearing is that there may have been a lot of communication between the township and Mr. Gephardt. Mr. Gephardt needs to go see a good lawyer.
Yeah.
That might be you, that ain't me.
All I'm saying is, when he came down here to South Strabane and said, this is what I want to do, he was told as an accessory use. And then he gets an application, which admittedly he completes for this variance.
The question is it a permitted accessory use?
Yes,
And let's go ahead. Agricultural district. And if we read the first section of that portion of the code. Too much paper here. what it says specifically is that this is an agricultural district. And the purpose of 245-15 is to preserve, protect agricultural and land resources, low-density, single-family residential development compatible with agricultural pursuits, preserve natural features. It's all about agriculture. And where is the primary business? Is the primary business that this that this garage and this facility would support, is that up on Christie Road? Is that what this facility will support, rather than an agricultural use?
If you keep reading, you will see that under accessory uses, you are permitted a garage or a storage building.
If you are supporting the agricultural use,
Well,
to
that's your-
preserve, the purpose of the section is to preserve productive agricultural and land uses.
That's your interpretation.
Those are the words directly out of the code.
I'm not gonna argue with you. I can.
No, we aren't arguing.
We
We're
aren't
simply
arguing.
presenting our
I'm going to
opinions.
present my evidence, and I'm building a record, and I'm putting this extra evidence into the record. This board is going to do whatever it deems appropriate.
But we need a record, both from your position and ours.
Right.
And I appreciate what you're doing, and I respect it.
Okay. There are also a number of things that came up at the last meeting. This gentleman, regardless of what he was going to do, does not have to bond any portion of the roads. If you're going to bond any portion of the roads, you better stop now, and the township better be prepared to stop every Lowe's, Home
Very
Depot.
different issue.
Mr. Sullivan, I understand. You are the only one saying it, but there's no bonding
But what I
required.
do appreciate is that these folks were concerned. So
I know.
they didn't know about bonding. So they come to this meeting with an issue and a concern. And I respect the fact that they were concerned about the road. They
I
may
do.
not be able to get it bonded, but at least they were concerned.
I also respect that. And I'm saying, what happened at that last hearing, there was a lot of discussion about bonding. That gentleman, Mr. Gephardt, is not required to bond any road. And
I
even if
agree.
you were, it has to be a weight limit imposed, and restrictions, and all of that. None of that had any relevance.
I agree.
The township, well, again, the application was filed. When Mr. Gephardt filed an application and indicated a business, he also indicated what I had just read. This business was going to house trucks, and he was going to put these trucks empty into an existing garage or pole barn. That's what he's looking to do. I believe he should have never been here before the board. I believe that when he came there, that somebody should have said, as stated.
Could I just ask, should he not simply withdraw the application then? If it
Well,
isn't
the
needed, why not
township-
just withdraw it?
Why hasn't he received any correspondence, or I have received any correspondence for the last 10 days on why this isn't a permitted accessory use? As you know, Mr. Sullivan, what takes place is someone indicates that. The zoning department, planning, whoever it is, says, this is allowed, you can go forward. This isn't allowed, this is why it's not allowed, this is why it's not allowed under the zoning hearing board, and the applicant then has a right to appeal to the zoning hearing board from the decision made by that administrative officer. So why hasn't any of that been done?
Because we're here to make that decision.
No,
The administrative staff doesn't have an obligation to make decisions. They can express opinions, they can provide information, but in the end, it's we, the board, that make the decision.
the zoning hearing board does not make a decision on a permitted use. You would agree with that?
It depends on the permitted use, whether it's agricultural, commercial, R1, R3.
Well, I reasonably suggest that the zoning hearing board does not make a decision on a permitted use. That decision is made by the zoning officer, the code enforcement officer, who's ever put in that decision. And then from there, appeal rights can follow. That's what I'm saying. And none of that has occurred. I too have known most of the people who will speak here and respect them for 25, 30 years. And they all have a right to stand up and object to this. And I will tell you that Mr. Gephardt should not have submitted an application for a variance use in South Strabane. But I'm not going to let this board off the hook and say, we'll withdraw the application, because I have not been afforded, nor has my client been
How
afforded
does
that
that let us
courtesy.
off the hook? I mean, why doesn't he just go and build a garage and a fuel tank, and
It's all there.
he's already done it?
It existed beforehand. It had always been there. That's what I'm saying. That's what should have been ruled on when I got my letter, when my letter was submitted to the township. Instead of allowing, and everybody's gonna stamp, he's gonna run a business, he's gonna run a business. He's not.
Hey,
He's not. I know what the application says. He's going to do those things that I outlined, which he had indicated back in January and in April of what was going to go on. You're going to fault this gentleman who came before the board and said, I'd like some guidance what I want to do. And this board's suggestion is, well, you should have had an attorney. That's not how it's supposed to work. If I come and I ask questions, then the township is to guide me. Say, you're going to have a use variance, whatever. Go out and hire a lawyer. Pay your $2,000 for an application. And all of that under sections 245, 211, and 245, 212. Once you have a permitted use, the township, as well as the laws of the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, have provisions in it that if this gentleman goes outside the scope of that permitted accessory use, then what has to happen is he's given a notice of violation. He's given a certain time period to cure. If he doesn't do that and the township carries its burden, then civil penalties can be imposed against him. That protects all of the citizens. None of that happened. Never. And that's what was wrong with all of this. So when everybody gets up now and says he's going to run a business, he's going to run a business, he's going to run a business, I'm indicating that he's going to park his cars in a garage that already exists, a pole barn that already exists. They're going to leave empty. They're going to come back empty. He's going to perform routine maintenance on it, because you can go to any residential home and look at the number of trucks, of campers, of boats. They're all in this residential neighborhoods because those are work vehicles. And they put them in a driveway and they put them inside a garage. And that's why this was a permitted accessory use.
thank you.
The last thing I have is, I don't think it has to be marked. Excuse me, I don't think it has to be marked as exhibit, but just for the record, is my press before appearance.
We'll go ahead and mark it. Exhibits 1 through 4 are admitted. Thank you, Mr. Lawrence.
Kevin Booth, 121 Zediker Station Road. Good evening. I respectfully ask the board to carefully consider the testimony already provided by the applicant. The applicant testified that he does not intend to reside at the property and instead intends to rent the residence to his mother. The applicant also testified that he operates a trucking business with 3 trucks and 3 drivers. Those facts are significant because the application has been characterized as a small-scale contractor, or trucking business that is accessory to a residential use. However, the business operator and the proposed resident are not the same person. I respectfully ask the board to consider whether a commercial trucking operation conducted by one individual can be properly considered accessory to the residential use of another individual. The applicant also testified that the purchase of this property is contingent upon obtaining approval for the proposed business use. In addition, the applicant testified that he cannot afford property in a zoning district where this type of business would otherwise be permitted. Those statements suggest that the difficulty is not with the property itself, but rather with the applicant's desire to conduct a commercial trucking business at this particular location. Finally, the applicant testified that this operation involves 3 trucks and 3 drivers. This is not simply a question of parking a single commercial vehicle at a residence. The board should evaluate the request based on the actual scale of the operation described during the hearing. For those reasons, I respectfully ask the board to deny the application. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you.
Judy Panasic, Green Crescent Drive. One of the things, just to piggyback off of what Kevin said, is that there was never any indication that that was all that was going to be there. If everyone remembers correctly, we were told over and over they didn't know how big this was going to get. And it went from 3 triaxles, which are not things people usually keep in their driveways, even if it's a work vehicle. And I lived here for 40 some years, and I cannot think of anywhere that that's a normal thing. Because, and especially because of the noise they make too. And it was also indicated that because of business purposes, they would be starting and leaving anywhere from 6 to 7, if not earlier. And online, the business says they work all night. But if there were going to be 3 to 4 triaxles, the number wasn't even 100%, plus the other trucks that were going to be there. So again, this was more than just parking a couple trucks in the garage, and that's all been stated on the record by the applicant. Sorry, I had written some notes because it's just been very interesting, and I appreciate people coming to stand up for either side. But I also, if they don't live there or in the township, and if they have no knowledge of ordinances or zoning, their opinion if some business should be there or not should be a moot point. The gas on the site, and the oil changing and all that, it was stated at the last meeting that the gentleman who had that, the township probably didn't even know that he had all of that there because it was so long ago. It wasn't anything current. This would be something new that is a flood zone. It's listed as a flood zone. We've got animals to worry about right down the road from there. And they can, I don't know how they miss the animals because they're there all the time. I was going to bring up the bonding, and I understand that that could be something that isn't possible, but we also have pictures if you would like, we could provide for the record. I can email them to Kristen, and I just need your email. And we have one of us has taken pictures of how bad the condition of the roads are.
Judy, I don't think the road is relevant.
Okay, that's okay, Art. I just thought I'd bring it up. Okay. These are rental properties, all of them. He's not going to be living there, as Kevin said. And one of my concerns is there's going to be inspections. When we have people buying new properties and things being done in that, we don't even know if that building's up to code for what he wants it. My question would be, has our fire chief gone in and looked at that? I know that in Windsor Highlands, something that they were going to.
Judy, I don't think that is relevant.
Well, that's fine, but I just want it on the record, because if they're saying certain things and they're doing this, that down the road and they want to continue coming after us, there could be a lot of money that has to be put into that property because it's going to be rental properties and not a residence. And because it is, for everything changing, there could be a lot more that could be investing for that. And I think that needs said. But I appreciate, Art, you watching everything. I don't want to repeat everything. I think you've heard enough. And I know that, and I know that, but I just, want to point out that, that is agricultural. That's never been anything but that out that way for those of us who have lived there, those of us who know it. And, our township is still suffering from years of poor leadership legally. And we're still making up for that and trying to get things straightened out. So I appreciate the time this board is given. And I thank you all very much.
Thank you.
Diane Ecker, Tara Drive. For the record, I must object to this event of a second hearing. We already held a public hearing on this, and at the end of that hearing, the board did not announce to the people that there would be another public hearing or even a continuation of the first hearing. Instead, at the end of that hearing, the board told us it would take 45 days to render a decision. So to be here for another hearing is not appropriate. But since we are here,
I believe it said it was tabled till the June meeting, ma'am.
but you said that you would render a decision within 45 days.
That's what's going to happen tonight, I anticipate.
Good. Nonetheless, I must say that when we look at zoning, we have to ask three questions. Does the request fall within the scope of what is allowed in that zoned area? Does it help the township? Does it make life better for all residents of the township, not just the person asking for that request? If the answer to these questions is no, then it should also be the answer to the requested variance. When I look at what we have in our zoning as an accessory use, it tells us that it is for members of the immediate family residing on the premises, plus a maximum of one non-resident employee. He's told us he does not wish to reside on that. He's renting it out. He told us at the last hearing he does intend to run a trucking business. And a trucking business is not a permitted use in an A1 zone. No exceptions, period. If someone wishes to have a trucking business, there are designated areas for this to happen. But even more outrageous is he's asking for this to step into an A1 zone to run a business, and he doesn't even own the land. So he's looking to do something that is not allowed. So the answers to the question, does it fall within the scope of what is allowed? No. Does it help the township? No. Does it make life better for all residents of the township? No. I respectfully ask that you deny the application for a variance. Direct him to shop in the appropriately zoned areas that allow a trucking business, which would be commercial or industrial, not agricultural.
Thank you.
Sir, are you asking that be marked as an exhibit for the record?
Yes, please. My name is
Exhibit
Mike.
5.
Sorry.
You have one for her?
Oh, yeah, I have 6 copies. Okay. My name is Mike Shimko, East Point Drive. Yes, SHIM as in Mike, KO. Sorry, East Point Drive. So I'm going to prune my statement a bit to try not to go over what was discussed already, but I disagree that this is a permitted accessory use of the A1 district. Routine maintenance on business vehicles, as this gentleman pointed out, will occur, is accessory to and in support of the business. So these are business activities. Without them, the business would not perform as expected. And additionally, maintenance activities on multiple large commercial vehicles is substantively different in character from consumer and recreational vehicles. And so if we say that this isn't permitted accessory use, I also don't think this in any way satisfies the requirements for a use variance. There are 5 conditions enumerated in Article 20, 245, 203 of the South Strabane Code, and they're consistent with the Pennsylvania MPC Act 247, Section 910.2. and they have to be required for a variance to be granted. So first, there are no apparent unique physical circumstances peculiar to the property that cause the applicant unnecessary hardship. Any hardship is certainly due to the conditions generally created by the zoning requirements in the A1 district set forth in Article 4. And so condition A is clearly not met, and thus B and C are inapplicable. Condition D, that the essential character of the neighborhood or district and so on is also not met. The industrial character of the proposed use is incompatible with the stated purpose of the A1 agricultural district. It doesn't preserve the natural features and so on, and it's not consistent in character with other authorized uses of A1. Large vehicles and heavy equipment can produce loud noise, dust, noxious fumes and smells, increased traffic and other nuisances that could substantially impair neighbors' rights to legally and reasonably enjoy their property. And the last condition of the use variance granting is condition E, that it can only be met trivially through circular reasoning. The use variance is the minimal variance necessary because the only way for the proposed use to exist in A1 is for a use variance to allow for it. So in short, this requested use variance looks more like an attempt to create a new permitted use in A1 rather than a request for relief from any demonstrated hardships that the applicant has not created himself. The code is clear. The use variance request does not meet the minimum requirements. Please deny the request.
Thank you. Any other comments?
Janie Deemer, Zediker Station Road. Just a couple of things to the man that lives in Cannonsburg. I'm not sure, maybe he was going very fast on Zediker Station Road. We have 102 head of cattle. The neighbor farm, Murphy's, probably have 50 head of cattle. 8 horses, there's llamas, there's alpacas. Maybe they were all in the barn when he rode up. All of us really take a lot of pride in our farms, and I and most of my neighbors mow our grass about every 5 days because we like to keep it neat and tidy. If you came past an area that was all overgrown and kind of bushy looking, all that property is owned by wonderful CNX, and they don't do anything with their property, unfortunately. And we can't do anything about it. And that's not what I'm here to talk about tonight. I feel that this board, if they grant this exception, is going to set a nasty precedence in our township. Somebody else is going to come forward and ask for something else. As I stated the last month, a farmer friend of mine had someone to buy his farm for over $1 million. And for a farmer, that's a lot of money. The zoning board denied it because the new owner wanted to put in a trucking business. Someone else wanted to put a hair salon in. Turned down. Too many vehicles parked in the driveway. And I can go on. But if it's not allowed in an A1 district, why do we have zoning laws? Why we need to stand behind these for all of us? It's pretty soon, somebody's going to come in and say, I want to put a Dollar General on Zediker Road. And that's happened in other townships. I've seen them. So I beg you tonight to dismiss this request and vote it down, because it is not a permitted use in agriculture. Thank you very much.
Cynthia Rossi, Terra Hill Farm, Zediker Station Road. I own property at both ends of the road. I am very concerned because of the number of accidents close to this property on Zediker. But since we're not going to talk about roads, I did a little research and a little drive. This gentleman does own acreage right across 519 on 44 Emery Road, where the trucks conceivably could be. He is supposedly keeping the trucks up at 206 Christie Road. And in that area, I'm not so sure the truck, what he's doing is a permitted use. But he's stating that he is operating the trucking company on certain areas of the internet at 44 Emery and in others at 206. If he has been keeping trucks at 206 where it's not permitted, he already has established a pattern of kind of doing what he wants to do, and that concerns me. I bought out there and invested the last 34 years of my life out there to avoid this sort of thing. And I am begging you, deny this. Thank you.
Dennis Malone, 67 Porter Hill Road, Washington, PA. The trucking that's proposed there, as it encourages more of the same if we allow that to come into the agricultural area. And we see how much with the housing developments and everything else that has gone in commercial areas. They've bought up farms. We've lost a lot of the agricultural in our vicinity, and it's important to preserve that. It's a great weight because we can do great damage if we don't protect that. There's more wear and tear on the road with this as well, but even more of a concern is unsafe conditions as far as where junctures with Route 40, 136, there's limited sight distance in those areas. And even though these are said to be going full or empty, even if they're empty, if you up to the juncture of Zediker and 40, there's been ones that have gotten stuck up there in the past, low boys, and it's even dangerous for cars at times because of limited sight distance. These are not just going to be stored vehicles, they're going to be operated. They're going to be going back and forth, whether they're carrying a load or not. The agricultural use, just like you've mentioned, it is agricultural, and it should be enough to deny that approval. We got to be careful not to jeopardize the agricultural because it's disappearing. And where we draw the line will be the difference of whether it's a benefit to us or whether it's a terrible regret. Thank you.
Thank you.
Ashley Moniger, Copper Kettle Road. M-O, N as in Nancy, I as in Indigo, N as in Nancy, G as in Golf, E as in Echo, R as in Romeo. There's two N's, so M-O-N-I-N. Can you tell I have to spell it a lot? Everybody has really touched base on all of the issues, between the last hearing and this one. I have to say, as the resident on that end of Copper Kettle Road, Mr. Coomer did testify or state that he owns property there. His property adjoins mine. This is the first I've seen him at a township meeting in the last 16 years. Setting a precedent with granting a variance is going to cause such a huge issue. And I know everybody has talked about it and all of those things. If the feasibility of it, to put a business on that end of the road that floods. Yes, Judy said it was a flood zone. It 100% is. I see it. I can't travel down that road due to the water that rushes through. It washes the road away. It washes, there are trees there. You have to have somebody come get it out. You're going to have all these trucks, triaxles, big trucks. He expects to put all of them in the garage that is already there. Yes, huge garage, used to house a motorhome that was Mr. Ames's. Perfectly fine in his little excavator or whatever he had. The fact that I don't even know if it could hold all three at one time and to safely do maintenance on them in the garage. But as a individual, he has employees. He has 3 employees. He's testified to that, or he stated that. When, as an employee, when I get in my car and I drive to work, I get out of park my car, get out, and walk into the office. Your employees, they're gonna drive to the Copper Kettle Road location, get out of their vehicle, park it there, and get into the triaxle, correct? I mean, that to me is giving additional vehicles and traffic that are gonna be on that property. That is showing that there is the intent to operate the business out of that location. If you're not operating the business and it's just for quote unquote storage of the vehicles, why are your employees coming there then? Why are they getting in their trucks at 5 o'clock or 6 o'clock in the morning and then going to their locations to haul away? I think that shows that there is the intent to operate the commercial business that he is now saying he needs the variance for. The fact that Pennsylvania courts have consistently held that use variances are only granted when there is a unique hardship related to the property itself. There is no specific unique hardship located to that property. Yeah, it floods down there on the bottom end, doesn't hurt the house, doesn't hurt anything. You can still farm. Mr. Farner has a huge garden. He does agricultural things, you know, just a stone's throw away from that property. So there is no hardship related to that property itself. In Valley View Civic Association versus the Zoning Board of Adjustment, the Pennsylvania Supreme Court held that the financial benefit or preferred use by the applicant is not sufficient grounds for a variance. Likewise, it was also held up with Marshall versus the Archdiocese of Philadelphia. The court reaffirmed that the hardship cannot be self-created. The applicant is seeking to operate a business on that property that has been zoned A1, and he hasn't even purchased it. It's still contingent. And he has stated himself multiple times that he is not going to live there. That is a business choice. That is not a hardship, and it is not inherent to the land. At that, I ask you to deny the request. Thank you.
Thank you. Other comments? Please.
I'm not going to belabor the point I've indicated. And while this board may not direct the administration to respond to my question in my letter, I'm going to be asking for a response to that letter. This board also knows, and I know Mr. Grafiotis knows, having standing as this hearing to get up and say whatever position you may take is completely different from having standing that a court recognizes. As I indicated prior, when I started this presentation, under the laws of the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, my client has the right to ask this board for a use variance. And Mrs. Moniger eloquently cited specific cases in the last few years which dealt with a use variance and what was required. I understand all that. But so that everybody understands here, my understanding of the laws of the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania is that most of what was said here tonight was not supported by evidence, will not be recognized by the courts in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania as eloquent and as veracious as those statements were made. They do not have any evidentiary proof of all of this. You cannot say to someone, you have other properties, stay where you want to be. And I think everybody should know that, in fairness to all these people that I have known all these years, because that is what the Commonwealth courts, the appellate courts have stated in this Commonwealth. Mr. Gephardt, through me, has indicated how he intends to use that property. This board will reach a decision and we'll have to act and come from that decision. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Judy Panassi, Green Crescent Drive. As I can appreciate somebody wanting to do something different that is not allowed and asking for the variance to happen, when an entire community comes out against it, has proven that with facts, as Ms. Moniger did, that it doesn't fit. And I take, for Mr. Lonich to state that we did not present facts, we did, the facts were stated by his client the last meeting.
There were a lot of irrelevant
In facts, but he said with no evidence of anything. The evidence is that his client stated it was going to be a business at the last meeting over and over. He stated things, he changed his mind throughout the entire meeting. The answers changed as to what was going to happen on that property and how many vehicles, from what it was written down to and I would wonder if the township, if Kristen could take the stand, if that's appropriate, because accusations have been made against an employee of this township that she did not do her job correctly. And if she did not do her job correctly, that's huge. But if she did, and if she's being made to look poorly in front of our community, I think that that is wrong. And that maybe having that, because he brought it up, Mr. Lonich brought it up. I would also just like to state that you can state that, sorry, I lost my train of thought. But I'm not a lawyer. I just like to play one on TV. But I think that, if I know enough about the law that if this is in front of you guys and they haven't withdrawn it, the township legally would have a hard time sending them letters or responding to anything, because that puts them in a legal conundrum. And my other concern is I'm tired of being threatened by everybody that comes to our township if they don't get what they want, that they're going to take us to court.
Judy, this is not.
I understand
relevant,
that
okay?
but I understand, Bart, but I'm responding to Mr. Lonich coming up and making comments. I'll let it go.
Thank you.
I won't let it go.
Give me 1 second, sir. Exhibit 5 is admitted. That's the letter here from Michael Shimko. Please proceed, sir.
Mr. Chairman, I made no accusations. The first hearing was continued. The record wasn't closed. I introduced evidence to preserve the record. I made no accusations against Mrs. Houlihan, if I'm pronouncing her name correctly. She stated, the emails say what they say. I'm not threatening anybody. I have a right. My client has a right, just like anybody else has to appeal. But I think what's inappropriate, because I've been through, I don't know how many meetings, these people have a right to know that certain things that they say have no evidentiary weight when it gets before court.
Agreed. That becomes.
That's
the
all
key.
I was trying to say.
There are
And
a
Ms.
lot of
Houlihan, if
personal comments. There are a lot of guesses as to, down south, you say, who shot John? Okay, that is irrelevant. I think that you have presented a factual case. I think for the most part, what we heard from those who have spoken today is factual and is relevant. But I also think about 90% of it is irrelevant. I think we have a good record.
And before I sit down, Ms. Houlihan, I did not make any accusations against you and how you're doing your job. I just wanted to know why we didn't have an answer to the letter. So that's it.
Thank you.
I'm Cynthia Malone, probably the shortest one in the room. I live at 67 Porter Hill Road. After all this was said, we have no evidence. We have presented no evidence, which was stated. We are the evidence, and we are not irrelevant. That's why we're here. We are all relevant, and we've lived here for 52 years. We came to this township with our 2-year-old baby and had 2 more kids. And like Janie was saying, clean and green. Everything is clean and green, except for the properties that none of us own and that someone else doesn't care about. So I think we're very relevant, and we are the witness to all this. And I also ask that you deny this request.
Thank you. Anyone else? Any questions, any comments, any thoughts? Tommy, want to build the record for us?
Oh, I mean, the exhibits are admitted. Does the zoning board want to have a executive session prior to making a decision?
I do not necessarily.
Okay.
Are you prepared? I move that the application for the variance be denied.
Can I ask you one question, sir? You weren't at the vice chairman chair at the meeting. Well, what I'm saying is I'm new, kind of new here, but normally if you weren't here, the three members that were here would make the decision. In my experience, I don't know how you guys do things here.
Either way.
Yes, sir. I believe the record is closed, sir.
I'm just asking. I just asked if the record was now closed or unable to take it.
Yeah, we're not going to move. I don't believe the board wants to have another hearing on this thing in 30 days. So the record's closed.
I move that the record be closed. Second, all in favor? Record's closed. We have, Tom, all the exhibits.
Yes,
You
sir.
have the record. I move that the application be denied. All in favor? Unanimous. Sorry. The only issue that was really relevant that was spoken to frequently is whether or not it changes the character of the neighborhood. And I think you did it. What? Right, and I'm allowed to talk to the community.
All I'm asking is that on the record.
No, it is not on the record
Why not?
because we have closed that issue, your issue. But we can keep this on the record. Keep it on the record. Keep it on the record. I appreciate you being here because when you make a decision on a variance, there are a lot of factors, and in particular, it is the character of the neighborhood that has to be considered by you. There are factual considerations which the board, with the help of council and perhaps engineers at times, but when it's the character of the neighborhood, you're the ones that make the comments that create the record. Thank you. And next is an application for a solar generating installation at 345 Wilbert Avenue. Anyone? I was late.
Okay, sorry. I apologize.
345 Wilbert Avenue. Anybody prepared for comments? Please.
Hi, Jay Gordon, 650 Sarah Drive. I was here at the last meeting. Good comments. I sent Kristen an email with bullet points, same comments I had before, so I don't want to go any further than what the comments I've been made before, but I do respectfully request denial of this variance application. Thank you.
Thank you.
Judy Panassi, Green Crescent Drive. I'm not going to go into a lot of things. Art, you've gone through everything. As I've stated before, I do have a background in this, and I actually talked to somebody by Dunlock 2 days after this meeting who put solar panels on their house and said that it was the biggest mistake they ever made, and they'd come and testify if we needed them. And a generator is much more effective because because one of the discussions of that was that not that a generator wasn't relevant, that the solar panels were going to help if the power went out. And this person said, absolutely not, that a generator is much more effective than solar panels. And I'm going to go back to the statement that was made by the person applying for this, that he could just do something else and do it how he wants. That's fine, then do it that way. you know, your board is the most important board to me that we have because you make the decisions on granting things or not granting things that are not permitted in this township. And if this is not permitted and he doesn't want to do it the right way, because it's harder on him, then that's his problem. But I don't think that this board should give somebody something because they could do it without needing your permission if they did one other thing. And the residents of the community were here last time. They were against it. It's a high density area. It's an R3 or R4 versus being out in the country or on a farm where it's not going to be around anything. And this, you know, it always goes back to what's best for everybody in the community, not just that one person. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments?
Michael Anderson, 345 Goldberg Avenue. Just like to ask a simple question about the information that was entered into evidence. When I was here, for some reason, I was believing that multiple letters were offered into evidence. Do you recall how many letters were entered into evidence?
Maybe one?
There might have been an email that I just saw today that I can get.
Yeah, I would appreciate that. So I could be able
And
to.
I have enough copies. I can give you one right here, right now.
And now that you mentioned that, sir, there was a letter submitted and then there was an email referenced in the record.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
I don't think I saw the email
You
though.
know, I appreciate everybody's concern. You know, you know what? I don't even know what to say. I guess Judy is going to push those. You know what? It's all right. Do you know what it's like standing up here and having a room full of people who might have a personal objection to what you're doing? When you legally have the ability to do this, I chose to go the route of not doing a lot consolidation. The reason why I chose that direction was if I did a lot consolidation, this would be built and already done. Okay. I chose not to because I had concern to maximize output to get an extra 2 or 3 foot above. So with that, I would need a variance for the height. And then also there's a shading requirements in the solar ordinance that doesn't necessarily apply to a pole mounted solar system. Okay. So the reason why I chose to go about this in this direction was to take care of multiple items at once rather than doing it separately. You know, I went through, stated the facts, stated why, stated how that the nature of the layout of my property, the 150 foot oak trees that shade my garage do not make it possible to produce a sufficient amount of electricity or sun to even come close to suiting the needs of it. It's just not enough sun. I'm going about it in a way. I took years to come up with a way of doing this. I went through a process by asking all my regular neighbors, every single one of them around me. I talked to them and said, hey, before I do this, I just want to ask you for, you know, you're okay on this. And there wasn't one person who said no.
Did they say yes? Or they didn't say no, but did they say yes? They say it sounds like a good idea.
They 100% did. My other neighbor, he's like, hey, I want to do the same thing. You know what I mean? So, you know, I don't understand the stigma behind it. I mean, it's the future. You're either on board or not on board. That's everybody's decision, and I respect everybody's decision. But it's the future.
For my coal miner, I completely agree with you. It is the future.
I mean,
Mr. Anderson, I did want to ask you one thing. I mean, we talked about this last month. Installer has to be a DEP approved installer. It has to be on the list with the registered home improvement contractor. Now that is in our ordinance and you have to be registered with the PA Attorney General Office to do that. And you wanted to do this yourself.
Yeah.
So that was one thing that was not you were not going to abide by in the ordinance. And the other one was the height.
I-
The height was higher than what was allowed.
Yeah, so let's talk about having a contractor. That's no problem. I already found somebody. That's a non-issue.
And have you talked to the fire chief too? Have you talked to them? Because they had talked about needing a fire and life safety requirement had to be met before you do anything. And that was not submitted to us either. And according to the ordinance, that should have been submitted at the same time.
You know, obviously I made the mistake that the other gentleman did and didn't get proper counsel in front of me and do this. You know, I thought this was something that was just simple. Obviously I was in over my head. I didn't understand the full effect of it. I'm a regular citizen, an ordinary person who was looking to do something, right? So I apologize. You know, I should have known what to do. I was humiliated when I was here last time. I felt it was very personal in nature. I left here very upset with, you know, the way things were going, and, you know, it's okay. You know, I'm going to have the proper person constructed. I gave justification for the height requirement, and I had the elevation chart that showed how much lower. The view of the solar tracker will be exactly the same, whether it's 2 foot higher, 20 foot higher, just due to where it's at. The shading requirement is almost impossible with a solar tracker. The solar ordinance doesn't adequately address it. Unfortunately, it doesn't. So there's no way you don't shade solar panels, right? I mean, if you want me to shade the post of it, I can shade a post of it. But, you know, the way I see it, the height, it is what it is. I mean, it's I'm so far in the hole down at the bottom of that, where my lot is, it's not going to make a bit of difference for any views.
Kristen, Linda's raised a lot of points that I was totally unaware of. Is there any way that we could provide specific detail? Linda, you pass it on to the township, and then the
Oh, it's
township
in our ordinance. It's right in the ordinance.
have a discussion with them.
Yeah, I was not informed of any of these requirements, you know, just going about it. I don't know what's, you know, it's like this world of. I don't
Mr.
know.
Anderson, I didn't know either.
I mean,
I
because when you
I
look at
read
it-
the ordinance when I saw you were on the agenda. I thought, wow, gee, I need to look at this because this is new, this solar power. And the ordinance was written, and that's why I went through it. And I started looking for the things that were missing on the application that the township had required.
Yeah.
I read it too,
So-
so I didn't know it either. But if I was applying for the application, I think I would have picked the ordinance up and I would have checked everything off beforehand.
So I did, you know, obviously from an accountant, a CPA's perspective, not an attorney's, okay? When I read through it, I have a complete different interpretation of a licensed contractor to do the work. You know, if you probably would go back quite a few years, I researched this before I came in here, right? There was one that said the township that you were not able to install your own hot water tank. Okay, does anybody remember that? So there was a point in time when people said they weren't able to do that. I can tell you across the room, probably a lot of people installed their own hot water tank.
I don't think we have an ordinance that states that, do we? If we do, I don't know about it.
These are just all part of, you know, what I'm saying. You know, I'm not going out, my interpretation of that, because I did read through that. My interpretation was if you were to have somebody or pay somebody to do that work, they have to be licensed. They don't want Bob from whatever, you know, coming in and doing this work. I'm fine with having somebody to do it. I've found somebody. It's not a problem whatsoever. It's not an issue, right? You know, I'm here to address the issues with the height, with the shading requirements. You know, that's what I'm trying to do. And you know, it's all right. I mean, it's quite all right. I didn't come here to upset any neighbors. You know what I mean? I see this guy every morning. You know what? I'm sorry. You know what I mean? In Pennsylvania, I'm not aware of any view right. You don't have right to a view. I'm sorry. To a view. I don't know of anything where you have a right to the view. I keep my lawn mowed. I keep everything straight. You know, it's fine. I mean, you guys can look at me, laugh at me. I feel if I was properly advised from the beginning of what I was doing, I would have taken a different approach. I went about it in a manner that I thought was effective. I came here, I provided you detail for every single thing, every reason why. I addressed all issues that were relevant on that variance. I addressed it with photos, I addressed it with knowledge, I addressed it with education to tell you how these things work. I dealt with issues regarding reflection because solar panels absorb light. You can stare at solar panels every day. They're not mirrors. They don't reflect. There is no reflection off the solar panels.
But there is glare off of them now.
I mean,
I drove past them on the interstate and it's nothing but glare over there. You can't even look at it.
That's fine. That's fine. I mean, and yes, so I appreciate it. You know, I mean, it is what it is. I'm not here to make people upset, make neighbors upset. I have one street, which is the farthest away from me. The people that were here are here just because of me. That's why. I mean, it's as simple as that. So, yeah.
Listen, I don't even know this gentleman, Cynthia Malone. I don't even know him. However, I feel for him now because when my husband and I wanted to build a garage before you all were even here, it was another board completely. The zone officer, I cannot remember his last name, Jim. Yes, Jim Barnes, wonderful guy. So we were required, we live 16 feet off of Porter Hill Road, which is a dead end road, but the township required a 50-foot setback. So we have a driveway that parks 6 cars because it's a long driveway, but thankfully we're not clear over the hill. We have property behind it, but that was their requirement then. And we don't live on Wilbert or any other town road. And then we wanted to build a 2-story garage. And because we were not attaching it to the house, it was going to be 1.5 feet too big. So we were denied. And he said, I suggest to you that you go ahead and do what they say, or they could hold you up for a year. And during the time that garage was being built, my husband had quadruple bypass surgery. So I don't know whether that is relevant at all. Here I am talking about being relevant. But anyway, I feel for him. We almost got solar, but we changed our minds. And so I think it should go, but that's just my opinion.
I'm going to stick up for the workers of South Strabane again, Judy Panassi, Green Crescent Drive. You know, the last meeting, again, Art, you were not here. This gentleman said his wife's a lawyer. Well, if his wife's a lawyer, why didn't he talk to her and why didn't they look over this? And, you know, if he's going to sit there and blame somebody who doesn't have a law degree, who they came in and they did stuff, like everything keeps being put on the township. And I guess is relevant because he got to go after her. You weren't a taxer. We live in a township that for the last 2, and this is relevant, in the last 2 elections, the people that ran and won overwhelmingly, they ran on standard of living. This board determines the standard of living for this township. More than the supervisors, more than the planners. You get to decide if people get to have exceptions, and he's upset.
This is not relevant to his request.
It is relevant. He stood up here and he got to whine about how everybody did everything wrong,
He
but
did not
him.
whine. He stated his
he was
opinion.
bullied because we got up and gave our opinions last time, and he took to heart. And then he got up here. Did he? Could we do a show of hands? Did he not say that he came after all of us? Because because we didn't agree with him. We didn't bully him. My master's degree was on my thing was on solar energy. I looked at buying a car with a solar panel. I have a background in it, and I did not stand up for what he wanted. I stood up for the neighborhood, as I do at every meeting for 20 years. Don't take it personal. I'm here to fight for the citizens who can't fight for themselves or don't know. I'm here to fight for this township to try to keep it the way that the residents want it. This is I just, if you're going to get up and say stuff, and like I said, his comments to you guys were on the record that he didn't know, but yet at the last meeting, he stated that his wife was a lawyer. So.
Any other comments?
I have another one. I really don't know her. She's agreeing with some things I said, but she lives on Crescent Drive and he lives on Wilbert. Those two don't meet. They're clear at the other end of the world.
Mr. Gordon?
Jay Gordon, 650 Sarah Drive. I was one of the residents that got the letter, 300 feet. Nobody in my street that I know was talked to by him. 2, he stressed that he was bullied last time. He wasn't. We made our comments as citizens of this township. The email that I sent you has a lot of the points that I stressed last time. The most important one is the hardship case. Is there a hardship here for him? Other than some trees down his property, there's no hardship there. And I would think that any variance would be based on any kind of a hardship. If he can prove that hardship, if his electric was cut off, he needs solar panel for electric, okay, that might be a hardship. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Much of this code, I live up on the hill here on Work Drive. And when I moved in there quite a few years ago, I looked out and I saw the cornfield. I don't see the cornfield. I hardly see the stars. And what's happened is much of our code was written, let's say, shortly after 1990 when I moved into South Strabane Township. And solar and nuclear are the future. Coal is dead. And our code doesn't give us any guidance. And really, if you go through, is there hardship? The central character of the neighborhood, Mr. Gordon? One of the issues, if you are to grant the variance, is that the variance would not change the essential character of the neighborhood. And so far, what I have on the record is that the neighborhood is saying it will change the character. Is that what I heard from you? Yes. Okay. And the problem is that whether or not it creates a hardship, if we would recognize the need for solar generation by individual property owners, and make life a whole lot better. But that isn't what we have in the standards for variance. I need commentary. I need thought. Tom, Kristen, anybody.
The solar panel, solar was the new ordinance that just passed, I think, 2 months ago. Yeah, so it is updated. It's present.
He's asking for a variance from what's allowed in the ordinance for the height and the setback.
Yep.
Well, I think there's a third component too, is putting in it's a vacant lot. It's an accessory
Yes.
structure with no principal use.
Nope.
I think is the third part of the request.
But that vacant lot, you own that vacant lot, correct?
Yeah, it's a swamp, so it's non-buildable. I maintain it and,
I think for a host of reasons, it goes on vacant lot, it's an accessory structure to nothing. The height. The issues that Linda raises about being assured that the proper licenses will have been acquired by those who are going to do the construction. I just see too many concerns. Jimmy?
Well, let's just, I just want to ask Kristen, the email, is that part of this? Does she have that now, this gentleman's email?
The one that's today, no.
We'll make that tonight's exhibit 1.
Tom, do you have a copy of it? Is that what he's on? I think so. Mr. Gordon's email.
We'll mark it, we're gonna mark this as exhibit 1 for tonight.
may I ask a question about this? Should I had like record of what people were submitting? You know, so I would have, you know, adequate time to prepare to, you know, support, you know, what I'm looking to do.
Well, no one submitted anything until the first hearing, I believe, correct? There was 2, there was a letter and email, and there's a third one tonight.
Yeah, so like the third email, you know, I mean, it's all relevant for me to be able to support what I'm trying to do. I mean, is that normal in these proceedings where you're not given any of this?
We just got it tonight, as far as I know.
It's the first I saw it.
Yes. I have the same, when I presented the.
That's okay. That's okay.
Yeah, last time.
Yeah, he had a video also.
So we're gonna admit this, close the record, and then I guess it sounds like you guys want to make a decision tonight, so it's up to the board.
You got everything under, Tom?
Yes, sir. Well, did we have the proofs of publication, and all that stuff back? Okay.
So that we've never done before. I move we close the record. Cool.
Yeah, that was the first I ever heard of that, but I'm gonna fight with Mr. Lonish.
A second to close the record. All in favor? Let's have a motion on this. You can make a motion.
Well, no, there were points that she brought up under the new code that still haven't been satisfied. Is that correct?
You gotta give me an opportunity to satisfy this, because that's all interpretation of law, but I'm going to follow the law, right?
That's what I was gonna say. Normally, when we have a request for an approval, it's conditioned on compliance with all the laws. It's not necessarily, okay.
That he complies with. Okay, that's what I wanted to get the clarification. And I. Oh, no, I was just mumbling.
Somebody make a motion? Or do we want to make a motion to continue this for any good reason? Which I don't know, I can hear one right now. It is closed. So a motion.
I move to approve the variance.
I'll second that.
All in favor? Opposed? Aye. It is approved. No, because the character of the neighborhood, I'm concerned about that. And the proximity to the property owner on the far side of that vacant lot that you own.
There was
It is
3,
approved.
all 3 requests are approved? Just for clarification.
The accessory structure with no principal, the height.
And the shove, shred, shove, yeah.
Yes.
So there's three separate variances. Are they all three?
I understand all three are approved.
That was my motion.
Thanks for the clarification. Okay, we believe we have a new application.
Costco.
For all these, did we put all the publications on the record around with my absence?
Absolutely.
Oh, that's nice of you.
Okay, let's make sure we do it for this one. While these fine people are setting up, we have some exhibits we're gonna mark. Third one, yeah. Exhibit 1 is gonna be the application. Exhibit 2 is gonna be the June 1st letter to the residents and the property owner from Kristen, notifying them of tonight's hearing. Exhibit 3 is gonna be, can you hear me? Exhibit 3 is gonna be the posting of the property. Exhibit 4 is gonna be the notice in the Observer report that Kristen ran on the dates of May 24th and May 31st. And exhibit 5 is gonna be the section of the zoning ordinance dealing with signs. Those are gonna be marked and admitted. And with that, I believe you're Attorney McKeegan.
I am. Thank you.
Please proceed, sir.
Thank you. Is Mr. Sullivan ready?
He has to comply. We're gonna have a discussion.
Do you want to have an executive session prior to them starting or?
No.
Okay.
Tom, what happens? So somebody gets a variance approved by us. And they go and they construct. And they
I
construct.
got it fair. Thank you. I'm kind of wondering myself.
And they construct contrary to the clear approval we gave.
The zoning officer can cite them civilly and at the magistrate. And the township can also get a injunction potentially if it's that onerous.
Yep, okay.
Sorry, that's quite all right. Mr. Sullivan, may I proceed?
Please.
Thank you. Thank you. Good evening. My name is Kevin McKeegan, McKeegan. I'm with the law firm of Meyer, Unkovic, and Scott in Pittsburgh, and we are representing Costco warehouse stores before you tonight. This is a rather straightforward dimensional variance request relating to signage for the proposed Costco store at the site of the former Washington Mall. We do have boards to help the board understand things. We also have 11 by 17 copies.
What do you have that can be put into the record?
Yes, everything in this package, what I would propose is let's admit the whole package as exhibit 1, and we'll just go through the pages.
Well, I've already marked ours as exhibit 1, so we'll do applicant exhibit A.
That's fine. Thank you. So when you're looking at this exhibit, and all our site plans are oriented in the same way. Interstate 79 is at the top of the page. Technically, the southbound lanes are the one closest to the site, even though it's kind of running in an east-west direction, as you know, in that vicinity. On the right-hand side of the page is the Mertland Avenue Route 19 exit, leading down to Oak Spring Road and really the entrance to the Washington Mall site. I do have several witnesses tonight who I'll be calling up to the stand and examining. They are Brian Kendall, who's the project architect. He is with MG2 Corporation, and John Alvarado, who is a real estate development director for Costco. I also have with us tonight Kester Kelly, who's the engineer for the project. If technical questions, I'm sorry, Kestra, and I'll spell that for you, Kestra, Kelly, Kelly. I apologize. Kestra is the engineer for the project. I don't intend to ask her questions, but if something technical comes up, she's here. She's also going to help with the boards. And then I also have a colleague from the firm, Caitlin Williams. Caitlin is learning the ropes, so I asked her to come down and observe this hearing tonight. So as I indicated, this hearing is.
Excuse me, have
I'm
they
sorry.
all been sworn in?
Everybody was here when the court reporter.
Sorry to interrupt you.
No problem. This hearing is to request two variances from South Strabane current regulations governing wall signs in the C2 zone. The first relates to the limit on the size of wall signs. The ordinance right now limits a wall sign to 64 square feet, which is not that big. The second relates to the number of signs permitted for a business. Excuse me, Mr. Stewart, did you have a question? No. Okay, thank you. The property is located in the township C2 General Commercial District. And as your ordinance states, that district is intended for commercial uses for the convenience of area-wide customers that depend on access to an arterial highway. Costco, as you probably know, is proposing to develop a 158,000 square foot warehouse store at the site of the former Washington Mall. As you probably also know, the Washington Mall was originally developed almost 60 years ago. It had almost 835,000 square feet of space enclosed within it. Like a lot of regional malls, it fell on hard times. It's been mostly vacant for the past 20 years. Due to competition from other regional shopping centers, as well as retailers such as JCPenney closing. The last real tenant, at least from news reports, was Toys R Us, which filed for bankruptcy in 2018. Much of the former mall, if you've driven by it, has now been demolished. However, as you can see from from the second page of our exhibit package, the site, and I'll let Kestra get caught up here. The site remains very attractive for retail uses. There's many nearby retail projects. It benefits from an excellent road network. And recognizing this, the state and the county have contributed to help clear the site for development. Costco has been working with the township for many months now to redevelop the site with a new warehouse store. The development will include a fuel station and an 873 car parking area. And Kestra has now put on the stand the third page of our exhibit package. This is a somewhat truncated version of the land development plans for the project. These have been presented to the township. They've gone through several iterations before the Planning Commission. They were given recommended for approval rather by the Township's Planning Commission last week. And they're going to go before the supervisors for approval on June 23. I know you've had some unusual variance requests tonight. These are rather straightforward dimensional requests. We're not asking for any permission to use the property in a way that's not otherwise allowed by the ordinance. We're simply asking for relief from certain requirements that we believe impose an unreasonable burden
To
on a
understand order of
use.
magnitude. Signs, your maximum sign will be about 4 times what?
Correct. And we're going to get to that. So there are many factors behind tonight's request. The witnesses are going to testify to it. First of all, this site does not have direct access from I-79.
Take a break for 1 minute.
Sure.
Tom, do we have a good record at this point?
Well, I mean,
I mean, we need testimony and we discussion, but
well, they've admitted or they've marked their exhibits as part of the record, if that's what you mean. But do you mean, do you want him to summarize or you just want the people to speak?
well, here's where I'm going with this. It seems very similar to what has been done in many other areas. And again, when I looked out my window and I moved into that house, I saw a cornfield. And we're still working with cornfield signage standards. And Chris, it's my understanding that supervisors are moving forward to relook at this issue.
Eventually, yes.
Eventually.
Not plan first, and then the, yeah.
Members, I look at this. And it's a whole lot cleaner than a lot of other things we have in this. But I have great respect for lawyers. I'm one of them, also a civil engineer. It's not that I don't want you to speak, but quite honestly, can anybody Judy?
But
you have an
wait,
opportunity in a minute.
I think they need to put their case in before she starts. No, all due respect.
Well,
I think they need to put their case in case somebody wants to appeal as well, if you're gonna give it granted. So I think, please proceed.
Thank you. I'll try to move forward expeditiously. I think that's what I'm hearing from the board. So I'd like Brian Kendall to step up to the stand if he would, please.
Hello.
Esther, maybe you can put up the fourth. Brian, could you?
She's like down on weight.
Thank you. Brian, if he stands over by the board.
Can,
Okay.
yeah, I think, can we turn that so that the people in the public can actually see it as well? Thank you.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
We have it here.
So Brian, could you briefly go over a little bit about your professional background and experience and your role with the project?
Oh, yeah. So I am an architect, a licensed architect. I've been working with Costco as an architect for 20 years as of last Friday,
Excuse me
actually.
1 second. You have his full name? Okay.
Yes.
All right, sorry.
The spelling is weird for Kendall, but it's yellow. Yeah. So yes, I've been working with Costco for 20 years. I'm a licensed architect. I am one of the architects on this project along with my coworker who's not here today, but yeah, I've done this before many boards.
So you've reviewed South Burbane's zoning regulations regarding wall signs?
Yes, I have. Yeah.
And you visited the site?
Yep.
So in developing a sign package for Costco, a site like this, do you consider many factors?
Yeah, so we're looking at a lot of like wayfinding for the members and people trying to find the building, especially since it'll be brand new. I mean, generally you'll know where it's at, but how to get there is kind of what we're trying to help people accomplish.
Okay, so you look at how the building's oriented to roads?
Yes. Yep.
Do you look at the distance of the building from those roads?
Yeah, so we're gonna look at yeah, the distance that kind of determines the size of the signs that we want to use.
A question, there are various public standards for signage based upon distance from the roads and such. And I assume you have looked at those various
Yes.
standards
Yep.
and find what you're proposing to be in compliance with what we will call generally accepted national standards.
Yes, I would say yes.
Thank you.
Do you, I wanted to ask one question to him
Yeah.
too. Do you actually look to see how close you are to residential homes that are on Oak Springs Road? And what kind of impact you're going to have from the lighting from that place on those people who live on Oak Springs Road and beyond on Locust Avenue behind their porches will be facing the back side of Costco.
So I guess one
So it's
benefit.
going to affect the residents around there. Have you looked at that?
Well, so the specific signage, I don't know that that plays a part. There is illumination on the sign, but there are limited signs around the building. As far as Oak Springs Road itself, if you drive along there, the Costco sits, it's high up on the, up above. I don't know that it's, I mean, I'd have to look at that, but it's not, I don't know that you're gonna see it really from the Oak Springs Road side. You'll see it from the interstate. The next road up is Berry, I wanna say. From that one, I've driven that one. There's a lot of vegetation along there. You might catch glimpses of it as you drive past, like you would the mall, like it was normally. I don't know if it's no, like from the mall that was there, it's not worse than the mall. I think it's better because there's less there, I suppose,
Yeah,
less
but
development.
also, Mr. Rolla, if you take a look at the third page of our exhibit package, you see where the Costco store sits relative to the traffic signal at the entrance off of Oak Spring Road. The residences off of Oak Spring Road don't really start until much further, I guess that's really to the west. And as Brian has indicated, there's considerable vegetation, there's considerable elevation distance between where the Costco store is going to sit and those homes. In terms of illumination from the project itself, that's really, I think, a concern for supervisors in their review of the site plan and how, parking lot lights and things like that are shielded. It's really not before this board tonight.
But just out of curiosity, on the west side, there's one sign on the west side.
Correct.
How will it be illuminated?
They are exterior illumination, so they're lights that point onto this sign to illuminate it. Yeah.
Okay. All right, so let's go back to, I think we were on page 4. Thanks, Brian. So we prepared this exhibit so the board would have some idea of how far away vehicles are before they get any glimpses of these signs. So again, Interstate 79 is at the top of the page. What you don't see on this exhibit is the Mertland Avenue Route 19 exit off of off of I-79. So as you're approaching the development as a driver, you come first to a driveway that runs north-south. It's on the far right-hand side of the screen. Brian is indicating where it is. And when you make that right-hand turn, Brian, will you be able to see anything at that point right off of Mertland Avenue, 19?
Initially, no, there are buildings that will be in the way. You won't be able to see the property until you really get up to that intersection, basically where the Home Depot is going to be on your right, the development will be on your left. At that point, you will be able to see across the property to the building itself. As you indicate on there, it's about 900 feet from that intersection to the closest sign, which would be the one near the loading dock area.
It's labeled as A on this,
Yeah.
On this drawing. So in other words, you're literally 3 football fields away before you're going to be able to see that sign. And I'm going to sort of truncate the presentation again. Would a 64 square foot sign be readily visible to a driver at that point?
You would be straining to look at and see what it says. I mean, you might see the colors, but yeah, it's not going to be clear what it is at that distance.
But the size of the sign we're proposing is the minimal size you feel is necessary to properly denote the concept.
Based on generally accepted signage standards. right?
Correct, yes.
And as you're approaching that driveway intersection, you also have a lot of other things going on. Do you have the Home Depot store sitting to the right and its signage?
Yeah, so we can look at that later, but yeah, so the Home Depot will be to your right. Their signage is very large if you've been there. A lot of the places in the area, which we'll look at later, are similar to that.
And to the left, kind of maybe at 7 o'clock, so to speak, from that intersection, you have a Firestone Tire and Auto Battery Center, and shortly you may have a Harbor Freight location there as well. They'll also have convenience signs. All right, so let's talk a little bit about sign B, as it's labeled on this drawing. So now we're looking at a second driveway coming up from Oak Spring Road, which is kind of on the right hand, not the immediate right, far right, but in the sort of right quadrant of this drawing. That sign is over the canopy of the store.
Correct. It is also smaller in size than the other locations or the other signage around the building.
But it is important that people approaching the store know where the store
And that
entrance
is, Costco, or as the architect as well, we like to, it helps to note the entrance of the building. So that sign is kind of important for us for that reason.
And that sign is almost 600 feet away from that intersection, correct?
Correct, yes.
Okay. Is that size, given generally accepted standards, of an appropriate size to let motorists know that's where the Costco entrance is?
Yes.
And Costco, from my limited experience, sorry, John, shopping at Costco stores, they don't have multiple entrances for their stores, do they? They only have one entrance, right?
Correct. All entrance and exit comes through one location in the building.
So you really want to know where that entrance is if you're going to be shopping.
That is the idea, yes.
All right, so we're continuing kind of in a clockwise direction. Sign C. The only reason this sign is shown there is because we now have more than one sign on the building, but that sign is compliant with the ordinance.
Yeah, that's the tire center. It just denotes for wayfinding where that's located on the building.
All right, then continuing again clockwise, we're now over to about 7 o'clock or so on the store. We have another sign, excuse me. What's the purpose of that sign? How will that sign function?
So that's if you come from this intersection, if you come up the hill at that point, you're coming up to the top of that. That's again, just to give you an indication as you get to the top, where to go.
Okay, so we're coming up.
So you'll see the sign up
from
there.
the signalized intersection on Oak Spring Road. Right?
Correct, yes.
If you're sitting at the signal, can you see the store or the sign?
No, like if you're there now, you can't really see the mall. So you're coming up.
You're coming up.
It's
you get to the top of this driveway, and now you got to decide whether you're going to go left or right. So the Costco sign there is in order to let people know coming up that driveway, the Costco store is to the right, correct?
Correct, yes.
And is that sign, again, of the size that you believe is necessary to adequately and safely let motorists know where to go?
Yeah, I would agree.
And lastly, we have two signs at the northwesterly corner of the building, facing the southerly traffic flow on Interstate 79. Are these the only signs that on the Costco store building that will be visible to Interstate 79?
Yeah, yeah, correct. Yeah, so maybe a little bit that one, but I think the fuel is in the way for the other one. So yes, those two will be along the UV. You can see them from Interstate 79. They're sized on that side because of the speed of people driving down the road. If it's 64 square feet, it will be difficult to kind of see that or read that as you're driving past. So it's for.
So the larger sign, the larger size of the sign is necessary because of the speed of traffic on Interstate 79.
Correct, yes.
And there is no direct access from Interstate 79 to the site, correct?
There is no, you have to go down to the
So if
interchange.
you're proceeding from, well, on the highway, it's south to north, but it's really here kind of west to east. If you're proceeding in that direction, you need to know that you need to get off the next exit for the Costco store, correct?
Yep, that is the intent, yes.
And that's the purpose of those larger signs. there. Is it your testimony then that the proposed signs are the minimum size necessary to overcome the sight distance and visibility issues we discussed?
It is, yes.
Okay. If we could flip ahead to page 7. We have two other exhibits which I'm not going to bore you with. They're renderings of the size of the buildings showing the sign is proposed. Are the signs proposed for this warehouse consistent with signs at other Costco warehouses?
Yeah, so these two are in the area. One's in Homestead, the other one is over in Robinson Township area. The one in Robinson, actually, that sign is larger than what we're even proposing. This one here.
The one in the lower right-hand corner of the drawing?
Yeah, so that's actually larger than what we're proposing. The one on the left here in Homestead is more online.
Okay. Okay, all right. Now, next question, are the signs that we're proposing, are they relatively consistent with signs that either were or now are at the Washington Mall site?
Yeah, that and including various businesses around there, including other retail. It's very similar. You can see driving around there. Signs are very large in these buildings. Similar to
larger. Yeah.
Some
So
taste larger, yeah.
these last two boards, just to summarize, we have some photographs of signs at the Washington Mall, and then we have some precedents from others. So I don't have any other questions for Mr. Kendall at this time, but if the board has questions, direct me, I'm happy to. So,
Are you gonna put a big sign up like so you can see it from the interstate then? You know how they put the ones way up in the air?
That's a very good question. There are no pylon signs proposed for this.
Okay.
So there's really not going to be any wayfinding signs of that type.
Just the wall signs we discussed on the building itself.
Within the parking lot, it's maybe small, like turn this way kind of signs, but nothing out facing the highway.
Correct.
All right, so if I could, I'd like to ask Mr. Alvarado to step up, please.
Members of the board, John Alvarado, Director of Real Estate Development for Costco Wholesale. And
we could give his card.
here's my card.
All right, so I just have a few questions for you, Mr. Alvarado, just to confirm. The proposed signs here are typical for a Costco warehouse store, correct?
Yes.
In your experience, has Costco ever developed a store with wall signs of only 64 square feet?
No. And I mean, I want to add something to that. Like, I mean, if you see our buildings have mass, I mean, are big, right? We have long walls. I mean, a small sign, you want, also, if we want to look a wall with a small sign, it doesn't look right? So that's all.
And would Costco be at a competitive disadvantage with some of these other retailers in the area if you were limited to 64 square feet?
Yes.
The store would not function as it should, correct?
Yes, because I mean, it's gonna get hard to or members to find the store, right? Like if you drive in 75, maybe you don't live in the, in the area and you need a Costco, they will pass, they will know there is a Costco there. There's no way to see it.
They get off the interstate, make the right turn, and end up at. Sam's Club.
Yeah, we don't want that. I don't have any other questions for Mr. Alvarado unless the board has questions for him. So just to quickly summarize.
Thank you.
The project is in a C2 area. This isn't a area that's supposed to attract area-wide customers, so it's important. I know everybody lives in South Bay and everybody's going to know where the store is, but the importance of the signage is for the folks who are coming from miles away. And if you don't have the appropriate signage at the driveways facing Interstate 79, the store simply won't function. The signs are not out of character with the neighborhood, and they're certainly in keeping with retail practices both here and in the region. So happy to answer questions, and we appreciate the board's consideration of our requests. Thank you.
Do you have a back of these, miss? You have one for her? Okay, all right, fine. Sorry about that. So we're gonna move applicant's exhibit A into the record then, consisting of multiple pictures.
Thank you.
Tom, do we have the record exhibits complete?
I believe we do. We have our exhibits 1 through 5, township exhibits 1 through 5, and then applicant's exhibit A.
So I move that we close the record. No, come on, Judy.
That's not just me. Oh, I have to turn. No, I don't have to come. I'm gonna move anyway. It doesn't matter at this point. Yo, 44 years of misery here. I'm good. You know, I want to make a couple statements. One, I want to clarify that the mall did not go down because of anything else, and I know this firsthand because my hairdresser had 3 businesses in the mall and they were all forced out of that mall. They made them leave. They made Shorty's leave. They made every place leave. That wasn't a natural. Places just shut down. So that comment was not accurate. I have a question for Costco. Were the supervisors or the planners aware that this was at this meeting was on there before they approved it? Because did the solicitor of our township know about this beforehand? This has been going on for a while, and I've talked to some people, and this was like the first they heard that there was going to have to be something. Even last year, when they were doing the Harbor Freight thing, there was no discussion that they were going to need any variances, and that was something that I had brought up. And Art, I appreciate you making a comment about the fields and all that, but this is what I'm going to say. Our signage is too big now, so that's why they changed the ordinance to make them smaller, because going forward, they want them smaller, not bigger. That's the ordinance was they could be that size. Now it's that they want them smaller because it's too much, because we light up the sky. I say this every time I come from Drovers, I could never get lost. I can find South Strabane. This is a beacon. Go uptown to Pumpkin Spirits and there's a picture on the wall, and it's this half of Washington's pitch black and we look like Vegas. This is not 1950. Every car has a GPS, and I've argued this for 20 years up here. Them saying people can't find it. I'm a member of Costco. I find them everywhere. You know why? I just put my GPS and I go. They all look the same. If you're a Costco member, you know how to get in. I've argued the last time when you guys denied Target that, you know, everybody knows where Target is here. Everybody knows where it's at. This isn't it. That's the primest piece of property in the entire township. That is the one place in the entire township that everybody passes, everybody sees, everybody's going to know what it is. To have the argument to us that they need bigger signs and to not comply with us because people won't find them. Well, I hope they're not coming up Oak Springs Road, because that hasn't even been discussed about taking Locust, and Locust is cut off right now indefinitely because of the thing. So people aren't coming around. I'm so sorry. Okay, I'll give her a second. I'm so sorry. You know, so I'm, you know, in Target, you guys didn't grant to them, and Giant Eagle came and you said Giant Eagle was going to make theirs was bigger than was allowed. And you guys debated on if you should let them, even though it was still going to be bigger than what was allowed, it was still smaller than what they had. And you didn't want to know if you wanted to let them, you know, like just because a company is coming in, and this is a huge company. It's a huge company. Their members are going to know where they're at. It's the primest piece of property. All you're going to do is cost more light, I forget the word, I can't believe it. But anyway, more, thank you, Cynthia, light pollution. I have a master's in business. I have a marketing background. I've worked with some of the biggest companies, including this one. I've been to these stores. Best Buy, you know where the biggest Best Buy for the whole Pittsburgh region is? In Bethel Park, and they have the most restrictions. They won't allow them to have the signs on the building lit up. Everything has to be down, and that is their biggest store. Same with the Giant Eagle up there. Go to the Robinson Costco. Guess what? There's no signage till you get to Costco. Go to the one in Cranberry. We had trouble figuring out how to get there, and that's in the middle of nowhere too, not right off the highway. Like, there's no good argument why they would need to not follow our ordinance. They're going to come. They're coming. People are going to find them. Again, you know, you keep saying about, oh, the cornfields and this and that, but the ordinance was made to make what we have now is too big. They wanted it smaller. That's the direction the township wants to go, is that everybody here doesn't want to look like Monroeville. We moved here to not look like what we're turning into, and residents are not happy. They're not voting for all this stuff. They want this to go a different way. I'm sorry. And, you know, they can buy a billboard up the road. Are you going to let Sam's Club come in? Because you're talking about competition. If Sam's Club comes in and says, well, hey, wait a second, we don't have something. We'd like to put a big sign right there too, or do something like that. Are you going to give them an exception? You're going to have to, because that's only fair to them. And again, this is a club, not some place that everybody in the community can go to. It is a club you have to pay to get into. You don't just get to go into Costco. And they've already gotten about 8 million, I don't know how many millions for that property. But you know, all the signs they say they need, if you're a member of Costco, you know where everything is, you know how to get to the front door, you know where the stuff is. I think I could see like little tiny exceptions, like a little sign here or there, but to say that their signage is 4 times what we allow and they want us to say that's okay, the community doesn't want it, or we wouldn't have made an ordinance that changed it to make it smaller. Sorry. And I'm trying to look at, okay. Like I said, I've covered that they're on other prime properties in Pittsburgh with not all kinds of signs and lighting. And Costco also tends to close early. So their signage is going to be lit up, and it's not even like anybody's going to be there. They close in the winter or on weekends by 6:30, 8:30 weekdays or 8 o'clock. They're not like open all night like a mall or something. So that lighting is going to be on, and all it's going to be doing is blowing up our skylight here. And any residents that are within shot, and we're not done growing and developing, and that is not that far from, you know, anything else that could go up. And again, it is the absolute primest property that we have. But I just, like I said, you guys have denied people in the past, you know, and told them like, this is what the rule is, you know, everybody will know how to get there. And I just hope you stick with that and aren't just impressed because it's Costco and they're coming. They're going to come. People are going to find it. It's like I said, that's the one place you're not going to miss in the township. Thank you.
Thank you. Other comments?
Ashley Moniger, Copper Kettle Road. And I just have a general question. The signage that are on all these other buildings, could somebody tell me what the approximate size of those are? Do you know compared to what you're asking, like you're asking for these variances? I just want to know, is it on par with this?
Yes, I mean, these are probably larger than the size of the
Okay. And to confirm, you stated there would be no freestanding lit high signs. Okay, thank you.
No other comments? Want to close the record, somebody? Move to close the record. Second. I move to
Closing the
close
record.
the record. And I second. And All in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous.
To both parts of their request?
We were voting to close the record.
Okay, sorry. Misunderstood you.
And I move that we approve Costco's variance request.
Second that also.
All in
As,
favor?
as to both portions. There was two parts to that. Just want to make sure it's clear for the record.
The size and the numbers.
Yes.
Oh, yes.
Well, specifically as written within their application.
Correct. We provided, the application includes copies of some. of the
Yeah, you have
exhibits.
provided one application, includes all the detail.
Yep.
Thank you. So that application then was approved?
Yeah.
I move that this, any other business? I move that this meeting adjourn. All in favor? Thank you. Thank you.